Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another track guide. This time it's at VIR in the LMP2 fixed. I'll preface this with how I preface all my track guides. These track guides are not for the aliens, they are for the average person. The idea is that they are something that is repeatable, that you can work towards for the races this week, that can get you in a good position to do well. When you look at a track like VIR, it's very fast, very flowy, and all of the low speed corners require you to carry as much minimum speed as possible and get the best exit as possible. For this guy, we're gonna do a 35.7. Now, from what I've seen, I literally just started driving this track. These are my first laps here, and you can see there's quite a bit of variance as I start to get down to where I'm supposed to be. I think my optimal is like a 34 and some change, and I've seen some of the aliens being 34, so I am pretty happy that I'm getting close to being that quick. But I'm also not doing these races this week, so this guide is purely just for you guys. I have no clue what the race is going to be like. I anticipate they're going to be kind of a mess, so that's why I'm not doing them. But all that being said, I think is if you can get down to like the low 36s, mid to high 35s, you're going to be in a really good spot based on what I've seen in this practice session. And this is a live practice session that's the conditions of the race weekend, so I think it's pretty close to what you'll be able to get. Um, so we're going to do my 35.7. We're gonna start with just the onboard lap from the inside view, and we will go back and talk about the lap once we finish out. So as soon as I can find the cockpit cam, here we go. We'll jump right into it. All right, so that's a lap of VIR and the LMP2. Let's take a look at the lap from the outside perspective and see what we can do here. So we'll start a little bit before the line because I think it's important to note something that we'll talk about again later. At the end of the lap, but this exit is super important. So I got a little off track here on this exit. It actually didn't count it as an off track, so it's fine. But as we approach down to turn one, some things you're gonna want to note, right? This is your view as you approach turn one. You want to get the car as far to the left as possible, but like as you're coming down here, you really want to make this distance as short as possible. So you want to hug this rail like quite close. So run it close, and then once you cross the line, get yourself over here. You want to run it close because you want to minimize the distance that your car travels. We'll use the far chase to kind of show the line here. Now this line isn't perfect. I can immediately pick apart some things that I could do if I was trying to get the absolute best lap ever. And honestly, it'd probably give me a couple of tenths just by positioning. So we're not gonna worry about that too much here. Because again, I want this to be something where you guys are trying to, focus on just getting a good lap in, a good clean lap in, and not so much trying to be picture perfect. It's just a bit unrealistic, I think, for most people. So we're gonna approach turn one here. We'll go back to see how our view is. So your vision needs to be down here because this is about where the apex is going to be. It's going to be a little bit of a later apex, and you actually want to brake. I brake a little bit between the 3 and the 2, and I go to full brake pressure for a little bit here because the LMP2 can take it. And this little like turn, this little like thing that tells you you got a right hand because you kind of can't see past here, is pretty helpful. So use that as once you get around that, that's when you're gonna start to turn in. It's just a slow spiral because you have quite a bit of brake pressure still, and I'm just working it in. You see, I get a lot of neutral steer, and now I'm actually starting to get some steering, and we're gonna apex this quite late. And the goal is actually not to run this tight. It's actually, and I got a little bit of a, okay, I caught the curve a bit, so we put some power down in the form of rubber here. But the goal is to run this kind of like mid-wide on the track. Ignore this. This is not an apex for you. And just carry as much speed out of here. The second thing to note is this is not your apex for this corner. Like this corner is not like really a corner because what you want to do is you want to be setting up the very next corner. So what you want to do is your eyes, you kind of can't even see it, right? But your eyes need to be looking beyond this and treating this a bit like a straightaway. And you want to just round this nice and wide and start braking. So, okay, your braking point here is kind of weird because you never can really see it. But it's basically once you finish this kink and the car gets kind of straight. It's not going to be perfectly straight. But you want to brake fairly hard and immediately start to bleed off. Now, one thing I can notice is I would benefit by opening this up a little bit more. So, maybe try that because I'm not really opening the corner up as much as I could, which means I could carry more speed into this corner. But if you can get that, great. If not, like it's not the end of the world. As long as you flow a lot of speed through this one, this is going to be your apex, and then your goal is to get again all the way as far over here as you possibly can. Um, you can run pretty freaking wide on this thing, and this is not an off track. So use every inch of this track as best you can to set yourself up, and then you're gonna brake. Braking point here is, I would say, you're looking here as your vision. Once you get past this house, is your braking point. There's no boards, right? So, you get halfway through the house, and then you're on a brake. And same thing, you're gonna kind of late-ish apex this, uh, spiral the car in, and then clip the curb a bit. And your goal here is to just keep turning to the left because you've got some room, but I'm back on the throttle. And then finally turn back, and you can crush this curb. Actually, no, sorry. I would say maybe not touch this curb because what's going to happen now is you're in this little point where it's pretty much a traction zone. Your goal is to get as much traction running up the hill as possible. So you want to be on the power as long as possible. So I start to feed the power back in. Can't go full because you're still turning a lot. You can go a little wider than I did here. You can go out here. It opens it up so there's really no negatives. And then you want to get on the power, and I crush this curb a little bit sideways, but it's okay. Crush this one, and so your view here is pretty interesting because you can pretty much see everywhere you need to go, and your vision needs to be as far forward as possible. And just keep this as straight as possible. Try to scrub as little speed as possible. One thing you can do as you start to approach really climbing the hill is you get this little bit of extra track. Use this as best you can to just make this as straight as possible so you don't have to scrub any speed. And then it's just, you're basically playing ping pong here. You're just bouncing off of each, curb as much as possible, keeping the car as straight as possible, and just keep your vision forward the entire time. So as we as we come up here, you know, my eyes are here because my eyes are here. I can see all of this, right? So nothing is a surprise. Boom, boom, and then same thing. Like I'm still in fifth using the torque of the car to carry me up, and then as we get to the middle of this hill, I switch into sixth just to kind of use the rest of the gear to give me a little bit more acceleration before we brake. And then the braking point here is another weird one where you kind of can't, like, there's no good reference, right? Like, I use this tree, I've gotten past the tree, I'm going to brake medium and spiral the car in. This is very, very fast. This is what, like 150 miles an hour? Oh, whoops. Very, very fast. And your goal is to get the car turned in for this curb and then just get back on the power. So before you even get here, you're back on the power. And again, eyes really far forward. You can't see where you're going, but you got to trust it. Just run the power out. And the track is really nice. They give you a little bit of extra room here because you're going to need it as you try to fly down here. I didn't quite get out to that, but honestly, I think that's a good idea to not go super far because you don't want to get pulled down by the grass. You will never stop. You're probably going to wreck the car, and that's going to be race over because you can't brake on grass. So your next goal here is your actual corner. The apex of your actual corner is like here. So you see the track turns, but you're not really trying to like apex this. It's not really. You're setting this up just like the beginning of the track for the exit on the straight. So get the car all the way back to the left as quickly as possible. Really work to get it over there. I would try to get the car a little bit straighter and a little bit more to the left than I did here, but it's okay, right? And then your braking point is, I mean, I start to brake at the 3 and I'm at peak pressure by like halfway between the 3 and the 2. And you're looking over here, right? You should hit this curb because it puts you on like the right trajectory, and I think you can actually kind of see what you need to do if you look at it from this view. So trail the brakes in, just try to carry as much speed into this as possible. And then your goal now is to square this up as best you can and spend as little time here as possible. So the vision is really far this way now. I have more room to the left, but I'm just working with what I got. Trail this, get down into first, use the engine braking to give you that last little bit of rotation. You're just waiting. You're just waiting. And then you start to pick up the power. It is important, I think, to not get too much of this curb because it will bounce you and you can't put the acceleration down as much as you'd like to. I think there is a better way to like maybe later apex this, but this is what I got on this lap. You know, like beggars can't be too much of choosers, and I'm just worried about getting the heck out of here. And so I feed the power in, and you could use pretty much all of this. So I think the off track is if you touch the dirt. So use this whole thing. Get out of here as quickly as you can. And then it's nice long straightaway. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. Okay, so this is kind of what you see as you're coming up over here, right? So you can't really see much. But what's important is where you want to go. So this corner is a doozy, and it can make or break your lap, I think. I'm gonna just so you can see. You can't see my mouse, but just take a look at where you're going. And you want to, where I brake, what I try to do, okay, here is I try to brake diagonally across the track because like this is a straightaway, sure, but the corner is quite sharp to the left, and there actually is a good bit of room, you'll see in a second, to break it a straight line. And you have the hill to kind of help you here. So I try to make my braking zone diagonal across here to take advantage of the straight line that exists there. So you're going along, I turn in and I brake at about the 1, and I'm just threshold braking as much as possible here, right? I crush this curve a bit to just give me a little bit more straight. You could probably go more to the left. I don't know. Like I've tried a couple ways and it's not that much faster. But your goal now is to get around this corner. So you want to, you're still carrying like quite a lot of brake pressure, right? And if you look at this, um, you can't see where you're going, but you see your apex. Again, I think if you're more to the left, you open this up a little bit more. I just suck apparently, so um, you just want to get around this corner as quickly as possible. I hook it quite tight. I use a lot of this curb. I mean, it ain't gonna hurt you a lot. It probably isn't helping me a lot, but it definitely ain't gonna hurt you that much. I get pretty sideways here though, because I'm using the curb, so just be careful. Um, and then my goal now is to just get on the power down the hill. And if we look at this, we still have a long way to go on this track. It's not over. So try to just hug this as tight as possible. Your goal is to stay on power, full power, as long as you possibly can here. So now we're looking over here. This one is a doozy. So I'm trying to make this as wide as I can. Open this up as much as possible because what I want to do is when I come over this curb, and let's take a look at what it looks like. You can't see what you're doing, you know? So you gotta really open this up and be ready. Have your eyes as far as possible. What I want to do is I want to make this as straight as possible coming down the hill. So I do crush the curb a bit, and we'll take a look at what we got. You need to get out of this as fast as possible, but you can't do it at the speed that you're at, so you do have to slow down. So I try to go onto the brakes quite a bit and brake in a straight line here. And this is actually more than I was doing before, but I think it actually works out. But we crush this curb. Absolutely destroy this thing. And I'm back on the power. You know, you can carry a little more speed as evidenced by where I am on the track through here, so maybe a little less brake. Experiment with this. The car is loaded up like crazy here, so it's gonna be hard to not run too wide, which is what I did and run off the track. So this is the best I got, and I'm just feeding the power back in, feeding the power back in. This is what your view looks like. I don't care about this apex. I'm just trying to be on power as much as possible. I got a lot of steering because I kind of messed this up, I guess, but I'm not scrubbing that much speed. It's okay. And then again, hug this nice and tight. And get yourself to the end of the track. So, yeah, again, the lap time is a 1:35.730. I think it's a pretty decent lap time. I could probably repeat this for 20 minutes. So try that on your own. See if you can do the same. So again, it's a 1:35.730. Where my optimal is like in the 34s, I think. And actually, just so I'm not a liar, let's take a look at it. Oh, I am a liar. It's a 35.3. So, um, keep me honest here on YouTube. So anyway, there's some more potential in here. Some places to clean it up. But for me, I'm pretty much at my peak right now. So, let me know how you guys get on. Interested in your lap times, things you find, and if you find any tips that are helpful for anyone else watching this video, post them in the comments down below. Would love to see what you guys are getting as far as lap times, and safe races this week is going to be a doozy. Try and stay out of trouble. Till next time, peace.